Okay, it is Thursday, September the 5th, and welcome to week 10 of Contemporary Issues in Criminal Justice. I'm Professor Richard Wright, and this is the very last lecture. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But before I do so, I do want to remind each of you as students that there seems to be some issues with students not understanding the importance of why I am dogmatic about APA. I have talked about this before. I have provided notices in the announcement sections for 2 different weeks. And throughout the whole quarter, I've said look at the rubrics on the assignment and then see my feedback. And when you check my feedback, you'll see that one of the common errors that students have made in their written assignments, especially with the field report and some other assignments, is they provided citations, references maybe, and no citations, or no citations and no references, and saying things like, well, there's no information included. That's the idea of the assignment, so that there is information included. And so those of you who've done the field report, I have said this over and over again, that your field report is supposed to be on an agency and you're dealing with individuals. You should cite those individuals within the body of your paper and references to the agency and the individuals. One student said that his paper was solely based on an interview. This is not the same assignment that you do in Introduction to Corrections, week 7, where you do only citations. This is a paper, a field paper, that involves an agency, and you should have citations in the body relating to that agency, as well as references in the end. And it's very common to provide the agency and then provide citations about that agency and or the individual that provides the details and information. The other thing is that as you've done doing your field reports, you should be doing some research along with it to so that you're familiar with what the research is saying about your field, whether it's probation, parole, whether it's one student is doing something on like bounty hunters. There's research you can do and provide the citations in the body. And so actually at this juncture, it's kind of late for me to say that, because your papers that are written with week 10 for this week, and then next week you actually have an exam that's graded. This week you have the ACAT, which I've sent each of you the details. So let's go right into the module and let's take a look at it. So here's the details on saying this is the last lecture. You've got week 1, week 3, week 6, and week 8. So now let's go to the announcement for the week. And here it is. It says in the 10th week, Module 10, the future of employment for justice studies. We're going to go over that a little bit and prepare for this assignment. Read Module 10. There is no textbook, as you know. And then I'm reminding you that this is the final lecture of the quarter. And I will talk at the end about the criminal justice program assessment that's due, and it says June 14th, but let me correct that, because actually it's not June 14th, it's September 13th. So let me edit that right now while I got you right here. Go right into announcement number 10. Okay, let's edit that. This is how I do it. So you see now how I do it. Okay, Friday. That's when that is due. So let me put that in there, submit it. So now it should be corrected. Week 10. Yeah, Friday, September 13th. So let's go back, and let's go back to the course home page. Bear with me here. Here it is. Sure, most of you probably figured that out anyway. So anyway, the announcements for week 10, again, so now you see it. The final, the criminal justice program assessment is due Friday the 13th. That's for week 11. This week, you have the discussion posts that are due initially on Tuesday, your prediction, and then Saturday, your reply post. And then your written assignment, research your personal job, and then complete the ACAT justice test. Now, I've already said it before, the justice test is not, it's an assessment of how much you've retained since you started the program. And it's kind of hard to tell you to study. You're not going to get an actual grade for it, but you will get 30 points for taking the test. And if you don't, you will lose those points. And so the ACAT has to be completed no later than next Friday, not tomorrow. If you know, it's not going to be marked late, even though it says it's due on that by this date. The ACAT itself, I don't take away points if it's submitted late, but I will not give you the points if it's submitted the 14th of September. Okay, so now let's look at the course calendar. Course calendar is here, and you see this is where we are. And I told you already about these dates. And then here is your reply post, and then your written assignment, and then your ACAT, and then your keyword will be due as well. And then for the last week, you will have your assignments, and I'm going to cover that in a few minutes. You'll see that all of that's due by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 13th, not the 14th, not the 15th. So if you come back saying, I didn't know that, but your reply post will not be due the 14th, it will be due the 13th. This is for week 11 now, remember. And then your assignment, the criminal justice program assessment, and tells you what it does consist of, and we'll go over that in just a few minutes. All right. So that's your course calendar. So a week from tomorrow, the course officially ends, and all assignments must be in. So now let's go to the module, and again, let's take a look at the assignment for this week. It says research your personal job and make sure you use the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I will grade you based on that. There are some instances, I can't remember which areas BLS does not cover, but they're similar type. And it's a 1 to 2 page paper. And remember, citations in the body and references in the end. Here is due date. Here is the rubric, once again. And it tells you what you have to do. And then it tells you it should be in paragraph form, double spaced. Should meet the minimum of 1 to 2 pages. If it's half a page or 3/4 of a page, you're going to lose points for that. And then there's that standard. This has been the same citation and overall format since the beginning of the course. And every time it talks about APA, every time it includes the information about what's required for APA. And by this point, you should know about APA. So that is due this Sunday. And then your discussion posts, we've already discussed that. And then the ACAT test, as I said, remember the ACAT test is a test that is basically to see how you're doing as far as retaining information from the time you started here. And it is not the same as the exam that's going to take place in week 11, because the assessment is not going to be graded, but the final exam will be just like any other test, graded, and you'll earn points though for simply taking the ACAT, as I said, which is 30 points. And so it says you'll be able to take this test on your own time in an unproctored setting on your own computer. And if you have the correct setup, if you don't, you have to contact APA. I mean, not APA, the ACAT people. There is a phone number. I've given it to a few students. I'm going to give it to you now in the class so that you will have it. Give me 1 second while I pull it up on my phone. Okay, that number is 8. So if you have a technical problem with ACAT, don't contact me. Contact the ACAT support team at 866-680-2228. That's 866-680-2228. And they can usually help you with all kinds of technical issues as well. And so then, just like any other assignment, you put it in the Dropbox, and then I will see it. It will be reported to the school when you take it, and they will send me a report. I got a report this week, and as I look at my emails and I see that students who have taken it, there is, as of today, there are 3 students. Well, actually, there was a fourth one who took it, but she took it today. But prior to today, they sent me an update, and 3 students had completed it. And so I follow that up by checking to see if there are any others. They will send me the list. So it's important that you do take that. And then your live classroom lecture. All right. So now let's go to the module itself and have the lecture about the future of employment. And we're gonna talk about that. Here's how it tells you about viewing and interpreting your ACAT results. And and you can contact the school with this email address, but they're not able to fix things. Usually the ACAT and even personal support is not able to do too much. You can reach to them too, but the number I just gave you a few minutes ago is the best. And so this explains interpreting the results. I don't see the results. I don't even know what questions are on there. And if I was to even go and check the assignment for ACAT, I don't think I would even be able to see the test itself. But it's an assessment, so you want to make sure that you do complete that. So now let's talk about there are many professions within the field of criminal justice, the School of Justice Studies, and as you know, those myriad, those range from lawyers who are prosecutors, defense attorneys, probation officers, parole officers, correction officers, jail officers, and a whole myriad. Police officers, of course, at every level, the federal, state, and the local as well. And so these are the fields that many of you will end up working in. Primarily, most of you will end up in law enforcement. And I'm saying to you that the outlook is bright for those who are looking for opportunities to work. In fact, as I speak to you, let's see, I think I can find information about the Romeoville. Those of you who are in Romeoville Police Department, you'll discover that the Romeoville Police Department is hiring, and I think it's open until October. If you go to their website, then it tells you candidates for various positions, including police officers, public safety, and the things that you need to do. So for positions for police officers and for firefighters, so let's just say for police officers, I'm talking about the Romeoville Police Department, there is a PDF that is in on their website, and it explains what you need to do. And basically, it tells you to go to the website www.romeoville.org. It says a police officer salary without a degree is $63,372. Listen to this. With a degree, it's $68,000. So it's a $5,000 difference. And the registration deadline is October the 18th at 8 p.m. And the criteria that they look for is must be a citizen of the United States, at least 20 years of age and under 35 at the time of the exam, but must be at least 21 at the time of the appointment, unless the candidate qualifies as a veteran, and then there's exemption. Possess a driver's license, proof of high school diploma, GED, or high school proficiency statement. Remember, that's the minimum standard. So again, and so mandatory orientation is Saturday, October the 26th, and starts at 8 a.m. And the location is the Romeoville High School in Romeoville. So you want to go ahead and you want to check that job opportunity for Romeoville. They are hiring, and they're hiring also in as firefighters and paramedics as well. And that information is found there anyway. So check that out. So I thought I would throw that in there because it fits perfectly for you guys. And so anyway, there are many departments that are hiring individuals, and you can see that the benefit of obtaining a degree demonstrated by the Romeoville Police Department is a typical of other departments, that if you have an associate's or bachelor's degree, that you stand a better chance of getting employed. I will say this though, if you're planning on going to the state police, I know at least in Illinois, you cannot even get a job as a state police officer unless you have a bachelor's degree. The same holds for probation officers and parole officers. So your education is very, very, very important. And then, you know, you want to get started early. Some of you in this class have the age challenge. We've talked about that. A few of us have. and you want to make sure that you fit the requirements within that. Or if you have some military exemption, then you can also have those kind of things waived. So I would say that the future in criminal justice for the field, in criminal justice in all aspects, is very bright, because as you and I both know, this country has gone from to a level rather where there's a lot of violence that take place. And then we're dealing with things like terroristic activity. As you know, next Wednesday is September the 11th. And that's the anniversary of when the World Trade Center was bombed and it went down. And the most, the worst terroristic activity that took place on United States soil. And so, thus, the Homeland Security, which is an agency now that is diligently looking for individuals. Individuals can apply to the FBI and apply to the academy and all those things. You've got the CIA, if you really want to get. There's some military people who end up in that pretty much because of the security clearance. But federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies are looking for good people. And as I said, one of the ways that I suggested earlier in our lectures is to get your foot in the door, is volunteer, do some internships. Many of you who are in this class with the projects, the field reports that you've completed should expose you to the field that you desire to go into, and gives you an open, because then you begin to meet people as you do this assignment. That's why it's not just a library assignment, it's a field assignment where you're actually working with an organization or agency that is actually operating, whether it's law enforcement, probation, parole, whether it's jails or prisons, whether you're dealing with forensics, or whatever area that you're doing your field report in, so that you can have your foot in the door as you continue to leave school. Many of you will be graduating with your associates, and I'm sure I'll see many of you in the bachelor's program, which I teach a few classes so far in there. I teach constitutional law for one, and realities in criminal justice. I've taught that course as well. But there are other courses that I'll probably be teaching in the future, I've been already told. So get yourself exposed, an opportunity to get a job by letting people know who you are. When you do these field reports, we suggested from day one that you understand the transferable skills are being applied of communication, written and oral, and that your ethics and integrity, and then your professionalism is considered because of the way that you might even dress as you go through the process of doing your interviews. I always tell students that, for example, even if you go to court, don't go to court looking like you just dropped in just to view a case. No. And you can oftentimes talk to the clerks, and they will tell the judge that there is a student in the courtroom. And sometimes, and very often, the judges will take time to talk to the students. Same thing if you're following a defense attorney, a public defender, or a prosecutor, the same kind of thing that's involved. If you're interested in forensics, you can talk to the state's attorneys and or the police departments about individuals who they can have you to reach out to for forensics. Here, right here where I live in Romeoville, in a town called Crest Hill, which is just almost across the street from where I live, you can find the state police, and there is a forensic division there. And so you go and visit these places and you begin to learn. The key thing is your education and the connections that you make by utilizing the contacts that you should be establishing as you have completed these reports, field reports, starting with, if you're in corrections, understanding that area and then applying the same thing to this particular course as well. And so we take a look at, as you're going to discover in your research this week, the statistics on employment. See what the Bureau of Labor Statistics is saying about what is happening in the field that you desire to go in, and you want to make sure that you provide those details and that information in your written assignments, but it is also valuable information for you. Now, don't be discouraged by the statistics that you may discover, because I always have said many times that if there's something I want to become, I work hard to become that, as I did with a lawyer, where I started in the mailroom, as I said, in a law firm, and worked my way up while in that law firm. But and I always took opportunities to sit and listen to experts in the field. I wanted to do criminal law, so I sat in courtrooms. I got to know individuals who were top-notch trial attorneys, and was able to sit down and learn things. And so if I was looking for an opportunity to even practice in that area later, I had some contacts within the criminal law field as well as the corporate, based upon my experiences I had at that law firm, where I ended up reaching the stage where by the time I graduated, I understood corporate law and real estate transactions, corporate real estate transactions, organization of corporations, and all those kind of things. So I learned all of that while on the job, so that when I actually left school, I was able to step right in and select what I wanted to do. And so as I reached the point of deciding to conclude this lecture, I want to remind you, in this week anyway, that I believe that the outlook is bright, as I said earlier, for very educated. Remember what I said, the 3 tiers I operate on educated, ethical, and professional criminal justice students. That results in individuals who are marketable and who can find opportunities for jobs in the future. And I believe that, again, there's a niche that you can find yourself in terms of dealing and working in the area. And then years later, as I did myself, when I decided to retire, I found myself doing what I do now and what I enjoy, and that is sharing my experiences, enhancing the ability of students to be successful in whatever area of criminal justice that you have. I have students who reach out to me for letters of recommendation, who references, who use my name. I've let them know if they'll ask me. And the key thing is that I want to help students. Now, when I do those things, I tell the truth. If you were a student, and I go back and I check to see how you did in my classes, then I will tell you up front after I take a look that says, I don't know if you want to use me because I can't, say you're an A student and that your assignments were top-notch if you produce C, D work, and if you constantly miss assignments as well. So I'm here to help you, and like I said again, and then there are doors opening. And as I said, I'm able to share that one job opportunity for people here in Illinois who are looking for opportunities in law enforcement. Again, if you have any other questions about that, again, go to the Village of Romeoville's website, and you will find that information. And usually you can find that kind of information in all municipalities. Chicago Police Department is constantly looking for individuals, and if you go and check the website in Chicago, you'll be able to find it. And the same as I told you with the state or the county police, the county sheriff's police, and those kinds of things. So now, as I conclude, I want to take you and have you look at the assignments for week 11. So your final field work report is due. And notice that it says here, it says write your field work report, summarize your experience completing it, first describe the agency. Remember, I've been saying that all along. And report how you contacted them to complete the assignment. Then provide a description of what you did, your duties and expectations while completing hours. Finally, evaluate your experience. Explain how this experience will be beneficial for you as you begin your personal career of choice in the field of criminal justice. In order to be able to do that, you should demonstrate some research into the field, whether it's law enforcement, probation, parole, or what have you. And provide that in your paper as well. And you will see that here's a rubric. And the rubric explains to you, okay? And it tells you what you should have in your paper. Now, here's what I want to show you. It should be at least 2 pages long, at least. And write a professional paper. Take your time and write as if you're auditioning for a position, and provide citations in the body and references in the end. There we go again. So that's your field report that's due in week 11. And then your other assignment is your discussion post, and then your exam, criminal justice program assessment. Now, remember what I said to you. This is going to consist of 100 questions covering the objective of courses you completed in this program. The score you receive will evaluate your progress in the program. So take your time and work effectively to complete the exam for a grade that overall reflects what you have learned in the area here. And again, it's hard to tell you how to study. It's based on, again, the difference in the ACAT is that it's a straight-up assessment. This one actually is more course-oriented. So you want to make sure, and you should be aware of those things. There's some questions in all areas of this thing. I've seen that one, but not the ACAT. And so that's going to be due, as this is due, as the reply post is due, by next Friday, the 13th. So you had to have completed that as well. Okay? And so I'm going to adjourn this session. I hope that you've learned a lot. And what I want to do is give you a key phrase. And the key phrase is employment opportunities. That's it. So you're going to provide that. I'm only going to say it once. And I just told you what it is. And you need to give me that to get your points for week 10. And speaking on behalf of myself, I hope that my efforts have helped you. And I know, again, some of you are frustrated over the APA issue, but I have to do it because you're going to find out further down the road, as several students who have been in this class have come back to me and said, Dr. Wright, Professor Wright, thank you for being so tough on APA, because now I'm ahead of the pack in terms of assignments that I have in my employment that I have to complete, and I have developed a habit in terms of researching, providing credible resources, providing citations, and then references at the end. In other words, citing your sources, providing information that is very professional and that you're very on point when you do it. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to say good night to you. And again, if you need to reach out to me, you know the rules and how that works again. So good evening.